Hey guys, I break down the most jaw-dropping finds from Antiques Roadshow. Only the best, no filler. Plus, I give my take on their current value. What do you think they're worth? Drop your guess in the comments. This Civil War sword, forged in conflict, carries the legacy of bravery and sacrifice etched in its steel. The sword belonged to the guest's great-great-grandfather, Morgan Lewis Smith. Morgan Lewis Smith was a Union brigadier general in the American Civil War. At the outbreak of the Civil War, he raised the 8th Missouri Volunteer Infantry, of which he was elected colonel in 1861. After the war ended, he was presented this sword by the citizens of Vicksburg.
At some point after that, he was put in charge of the city of Vicksburg. The city was under turmoil. He was there to bring peace and civility to that city.
This sword is an extraordinarily ornate presentation piece for the general. There's an interesting inscription on the scabbard.
It has a presentation on the scabbard. We've got his name and information there presented by the citizens of Vicksburg in 1865.
Another intriguing inclusion in this sword is the presence of 2 maker's marks, one of which is Collins & Company.
And then it was sold retail by Tiffany.
What's more, this sword comes complete with its original walnut case, which is a rarity in pieces like this. The guest also brought with the sword a portrait of Morgan Lewis Smith, overlooking a map of the city of Vicksburg. According to the appraiser, presentation swords are an interesting market, and their value is derived from the beauty of the artifact itself.
There's value that either adds or detracts based on the individual of what they did. And in this case, this is a very well-regarded individual. It is very specifically personalized for him.
In retail value, given the provenance of this historical sword, it would command a substantial price of
between $40,000 and $50,000.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
A silent witness to history, this sword once gleamed in the hands of a warrior, its steel bearing the weight of battle, honor, and an untold story waiting to be uncovered. The guest brought in this Civil War sword, passed down from her great-great-grandfather, General Stephen McGrorty, along with a picture of him in uniform. Stephen Joseph McGrorty was an Irish-American soldier who served in the Union Army during the American Civil War. A testament to his resilience, at the Battle of Peachtree Creek on July 20, 1864, McGrorty's left arm was shattered at the elbow by a Minie ball early in the fight. Yet he remained with his men until the battle's end. According to the appraiser, this is a presentation sword, an exquisite piece crafted by Clauberg of Solingen, Germany, and given to McGrorty in honor of his service by his men. Remarkably, this sword is one of the highest-grade pieces Clauberg ever produced. One of its most striking features is the etched battle engagements, including one of the most significant names in Civil War history, Gettysburg, the bloodiest battle of the war.
We see more information about what he did, where he was, the people that presented the sword to him.
This sword was identified as a Clauberg piece thanks to the maker's mark on the ricasso. Not only is this sword a remarkable piece of American history, it also features intricate designs around it.
With floral patterns and a panoply of arms, but probably the nicest feature of the sword is this beautiful Lady Liberty statue hilt.
Given the provenance of this sword and its exceptional craftsmanship, its auction value is estimated at.
You've got a sword that's going to bring somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. It's just a wonderful, wonderful piece, and it's fabulous that it stayed in the family.
Forged in the fires of war and carried by soldiers through the chaos of battle, this Civil War sword stands as a testament to bravery, sacrifice, and history etched in steel. The guest brought in this sword, which originally belonged to his grandfather's great-uncle, a Union Army officer in charge of the hospital in Washington, D.C. According to the appraiser, this is a Model 1840 medical staff officer's sword, crafted by Schuyler, Hartley & Graham. Schuyler, Hartley & Graham was the largest firearm dealer in the United States in 1860. This company was founded by Jacob Rutson Schuyler, Marcellus Hartley, and Malcolm Graham. Jacob Rutson Schuyler, upon the incorporation of Bayonne, New Jersey in 1869, became its first board president. Marcellus Hartley, an American arms dealer, was appointed as an agent by the Union Army to purchase weapons from Europe during the Civil War. One of the sword's key features is the green sash, standard for medical personnel. In a retail setting, given the provenance of this sword, it would command a substantial price of
retail value of $10,000, possibly $12,000.
Dug out from a dusty collection at an estate sale, this sword is a relic from a time of honor, warfare, and masterful craftsmanship. What makes this piece particularly intriguing is that it's crafted from a swordfish bill, likely fashioned in a New England port. The appraiser is unable to determine whether it was the work of a single artisan or a collective effort, but the craftsmanship speaks volumes. Given the nature of its design, the sword would have been made after the sailor's return, meaning the intricate painting was likely added at a later time. While many variations of this type of sword exist, they all share striking patriotic motifs, a detail the appraiser highlights. Familiar with numerous versions, the appraiser identifies key similarities, while also pointing out the distinct elements that set this piece apart. Based on its design and craftsmanship, the sword was most likely created during the Centennial period, between the 1870s and the early 20th century. The guest suggests that the complexity of the handle indicates a later origin, but the appraiser confirms that it is original and was carefully carved from wood. Examining the paint colors and wear patterns, the appraiser notes that every component aligns with the characteristics of an authentic piece from this era.
The blue in this with the blue here, and the wear pattern is perfect. There's nothing that anybody has done to that to distress that surface.
Despite some visible cracks, closer inspection reveals no paint inside them, confirming that the aging process is genuine and not a recent addition.
And that's a good sign that somebody didn't take something old and put paint over top of it. Sometimes when you have something old, they'll paint it and then they'll put stain over it and they'll actually make it look worn. But I think this is a straight ahead, honest thing.
Folk art swords of this caliber and condition hold significant value, with an auction estimate of
$2,000 or $3,000.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Man, you're a lucky duck.
From the hands of a soldier to the hands of a collector, this sword has traveled far through time. It has been passed down through the Guest family for generations, once belonging to an ancestor who served in the Union Army during the American Civil War.
I brought my grandfather's Civil War sword. He fought in the Union Army in the 26th Regiment for Illinois.
Solidifying its provenance, the scabbard bears a presentation engraving at the top, a mark of honor and distinction. The sword is identified as a model 1850 staff and field officer's sword, set apart from lower-ranking soldiers' weapons by the U.S. inscription in the guard. Designed for battle, the sword features a metal scabbard with a brass guard, emphasizing the noble service of the guest's ancestor. Adding to its significance, this particular sword is tied to the famous 26th Regiment of the Illinois Infantry, a unit known for its remarkable contributions during the war.
They fought at the Battle of Vicksburg. They then joined General Sherman on the march to Atlanta and then over to the sea in Savannah, Georgia, and all the way up through the Carolinas.
At the end of the scabbard, there's a deep indentation that the guest believes to be a bullet hole, but the appraiser offers another explanation.
And that's a good question. The scabbard is made of steel, and they add the brass. This is called a drag, and that was held on by a screw. And if you hit the bottom of the scabbard, it drives that drag up, and it breaks off that screw. So that's the hole where the screw went at one time.
On the handle, we find the hallmark of Ames Manufacturing Company, a renowned arms maker based in Chicopee, Massachusetts. The scabbard's ring remain intact, a detail that speaks to how this sword once hung from the belt of a soldier in the field. Decades of use and the impressive service history of the 26th Illinois Infantry Regiment are evident in the worn condition of the sword. With such a strong provenance and historical significance, this piece would carry an auction estimate of
between $3,000 and $4,000.
Thank you. And now I've proved my mom wrong that it was not a presentation sword.
Presented here is a sword that once stood at the crossroads of history, its steel forged for battle, its blade etched with the legacy of a warrior who carried it through the fires of war. The guest brought in this sword, which was discovered in a warehouse that her grandfather-in-law purchased in Columbus, Mississippi in 1930. According to the appraiser, this sword is visually stunning, a true work of art. Among its features is the carving of an eagle on the sword's hilt, which is a symbol representing Colombia.
And it says, Estado Unidos de Colombia, which is the United States of Colombia.
These details are crucial as they help date the sword, as this type of design was only used in Colombia between 1861 and 1886. This sword also bears a maker's mark, tracing it back to Schuyler, Hartley, and Graham.
And not only did they do swords for the American Civil War, they were one of the premier retailers. It was them and Tiffany, and they made swords that when you saw it, you said, wow.
Schuyler, Hartley, and Graham was the largest firearm dealer in the United States in 1860. The sword features gold on the blade, a gold wash on the handle, and a shagreen grip made of ray or shark skin. Highlighting the blade, it mirrors the design found in a regular cavalry or officer's sword. This sword also features a mythological face, often referred to as Medusa, with serpents radiating from it. What's more, the sword also came alongside its original scabbard, which further enhances its value. Given its quality and provenance, in a retail setting, this sword would be valued at
between $5,000 and $6,000 in a retail situation.
Wow. I'm surprised. I really didn't think it was that much.
This militia sword, worn with pride and forged for battle, carries the spirit of those who fought to defend their cause. This sword was purchased by the guest in an auction sale from a local collector for the price of $200. According to the appraiser, this sword dates back to the 1830s or 1840s. This sword is a militia officer's sword, likely crafted in continental Europe. Interestingly, even after a century of its creation, the sword still retains most of its components, further enhancing its value.
It's condition, because here the horn grip, normally you find these chipped.
Additionally, this sword retains most of its original gilding on both the scabbard and the hilt.
Also remarkable is this chain, which was generally pretty fragile.
On the sword's blade, we can see the intricately done etching, a common practice from the era the piece was produced. The delicate patterns and motifs reflect the craftsmanship and artistic expression of the time. Such details not only enhance the sword's visual appeal, but also provide insight into its historical significance. At auction, given its intricate design and historical significance, this sword would be valued at.
I think at auction it would probably fetch $1,000 to $1,500.
Okay, great. Super.
With its origins firmly rooted in the 19th century, this sword is an extraordinary example of historical significance. The sword is officially recognized as the Model 1840 U.S. Medical Officer's Sword. Inscribed in bold lettering on the crossguard is the abbreviation MS, signifying medical service. In addition to the crossguard, the blade itself also features an inscription reading USMS. Adopted by the U.S. Army in 1840, this sword was specifically designed for medical officers, more suitable for ceremonial purposes than actual combat. The sword served as a beacon of hope and compassion amidst the devastation of the American Civil War. It reminded soldiers that even in the darkest moments, there were still those who cared for their well-being. This sword tells a story of courage, compassion, and sacrifice that continues to captivate collectors and historians alike. Today it is a highly sought-after collector's item, cherished for its historical significance and emotional resonance. Given its rarity and historical significance, this piece would likely command a retail price of...
It's a piece that would retail for about $2,500.
Very nice, thank you.
As a relic of a bygone era, this vintage knife embodies the essence of history, its presence evoking the echoes of distant battles and the whispers of forgotten heroes. The knife has been a cherished family heirloom for generations, with a rich history that dates back to the guest's great-great-grandfather, a distinguished USCT sergeant who served during the American Civil War.
The 96 USCT that your ancestor was in was formed from a lot of enslaved men who then, once they were freed, once the Army had come through, joined the Union Army.
This knife, exhibiting distinct characteristics of aging, is a classic example of a Confederate Bowie knife, highly esteemed by collectors. Consistent with traditional Bowie knife design, this example includes a false edge on the blade. A distinctive characteristic of this piece is its half-tang construction, which features a single integral grip rather than the more common two-piece design. Like a tiny sentinel, the counterguard stands watch, its simple form belied by the robust rivets that hold it firmly in place. While the blade is notably heavy, its balance is commendable, even if its overall construction appears somewhat primitive.
A southern thing, the way that they're made fairly crudely, but they're big and bulky and look really mean.
Okay.
Now,
remarkably, this knife has remained intact throughout the years, and its thin iron scabbard has also survived, a testament to its exceptional preservation. It's incredible that this knife has lasted so long and still looks so good. It's like a piece of history comes to life. Due to its outstanding condition and provenance, this piece is considered a highly valuable addition to any collection, with an insurance value of...
For insurance, you might want to think about a $6,000, $8,000 insurance policy on it.
Okay. Interesting.
Thanks for bringing it in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the information.